Welcome to New Place, New Worlds. Just to let you know that we are going to start with Leigh in Tulsa by Stephen Morris, to be followed by Where is Mr. President by Agnesa and Mehanolli, and then last but not least, The Shadow Guardian by Hehir. Every reading will be followed by a discussion with the respective author. The discussion will be moderated by Neziraj, so enjoy.
Hello. You okay?
Sure.
What are you doing?
Fasting?
Am I interrupting?
Isn't that obvious?
So you want me to leave, right?
Whatever.
What are you posting?
About the rehearsal.
TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that private?
What can it be more public than TikTok?
No, I mean the rehearsal.
And what makes it private? What makes anything private? You're just doing from the 19th century? What are you doing here? It's like 2 a.m.
Couldn't sleep. Saw the light on from the window.
Oh, so you came to check if I was okay.
Yeah, you can say that.
I am okay.
Good. Why are you still sitting there?
In the stocks?
Mm-hmm.
Set design. Standing backdrop.
Broadcast or whatever it is?
It's a series I created. My life in art.
Ooh, brother.
You got a problem with that?
It's just pretentious.
It's the name of a book by Stanislavski.
Who's that?
Actor, theater maker, Russian 19th century. But hasn't exactly gone viral.
Yeah, I wonder why.
You gotta keep trying new things.
For what? And the 19th century isn't new.
For what, you ask? To make connection.
A connection.
And if it doesn't land, it doesn't matter. You try something else until it connects.
And when it connects, then you know it's true, right?
No, not at all. Then you know you've made a connection.
Which has nothing to do with what's true.
Hard to tell.
Okay. Are you going to sit there?
Probably not.
Do you need help?
It would be nice.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. That was very nice and century.
Chivalry.
A lost art.
Lost but not forgotten.
By the way, among the things wild on the internet, your arrest,
What about? Huh?
a few oblique news reports, and then a public records research. Not
What do you want, huh?
Nothing.
Then why?
You think I want to blackmail you?
Possibly because already some lefty audiences want me out of the play.
Is that true? That's all.
That's all you want?
To understand.
It's none of your goddamn fucking business, you know?
Of course it is my business. You think this is private? You think anything is private anymore? This is about all of us. This is about our society, our culture, our country, our family, and why it doesn't work anymore.
It works okay.
No, not the way it should, not the way it used to.
Yes, exactly. Not the way it should, not the way it used to. You and me, for example, we are worlds apart. But at least we can agree on that, right?
It's a start.
Yeah.
Here is what I found. And tell me if it's true. Not your truth, the truth. Okay? Doug Johnson was a member of the Proud Boys. Doug Johnson stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2020. Doug Johnson was arrested, charged, interrogated by the FBI, and then released back into the world after Doug Johnson had crashed nothing.
I didn't crash nothing! The door was open from inside, from somebody inside.
Capitol Police?
I don't know. I couldn't ask. Maybe inside job.
What the dog? What were you thinking?
I believe them. Okay? I believe them.
That the election was stolen?
That the goddamn country was stolen. That's what I believe.
That you were being replaced?
And being replaced? You think that any of it has changed? You think it ain't true?
No, it's not true. Not in the way you know.
It's about family. The busting up families all over TikTok. How we are rednecks. How we don't know our asses from a hole in the ground. Because you know, in LA and Boston and New York, there is no bigotry there. No theory, no gay bashing, no woman hating. And they even got toilets where woman and man and anything in between can use. And of course we hear that. And to us, that's assholes. Them and their fucking pussy culture. And to them we look like assholes with testosterone dripping out of our assholes. And we feel this terrible darkness is closing in. A crazy loneliness. A lonely craziness that's busting us, choking us. Maybe it's a dust. Maybe it's a plague. Maybe locust. Maybe flood. Maybe fire. It's all in the Bible.
Whose Bible? Jesus, dog.
It's all coming. It's all coming. And then you get to the point where they keep calling your dumbass goober. But how about invisible or dead? And then you get to the point where there's nothing to lose by getting a gun and taking to the streets. We gotta fight for our family! Except that my family has all gone. Strangers living at my home now. We gotta fight for something, even if it's our dignity.
You really believe all that?
Partially.
Partially?
It's what I believe. What I did, what I did. Why I did what I did. It was my truth. And yeah, they believe me.
Who believed you?
FBI. They believe that I believe what I believe, you know?
You have dignity, I see that. I may look like I'm in some other camp, but I'm not.
Come on, you're liberal. You think I'm blind?
Liberal in some ways, but in other ways not. See? I don't like people, anybody who thinks they know for sure what's going on, especially when they're not even there. I'm looking for the truth because I don't know what it is. And I don't care for people who think they do know.
I'm not sure what are you talking about or who.
Maybe there is things we have in common. If we look hard enough, I bet we could find them.
Okay.
So, that's the only way we can heal.
Yeah, but what if they want to kill you? Huh?
Who?
I don't know. Doesn't matter who. How do you make peace with people who want to kill you? Tell me. That's what this play is about, right? They don't want Leigh around.
His own family.
Not anymore. As soon as he gives away his land, they're not even his family. He might be crazy, but he knows that much. They want him replaced. The family's history.
It's a very tired play. So, what did you tell the FBI? You renounced the Proud Boys?
Yeah,
To save your skin?
partially.
Partially again. Why partially?
Because they showed me stuff. Proud Boys is open. They told us in their meetings. We ain't bigots. We invite people of all races, even gays. This was their line, to defend the Christian West. And yeah, I guess their masculinity.
They said they welcome gays?
I guess that was a part of their masculinity, yeah?
They hate Mexicans, Muslims, Jews, blacks, Asians, the non-binary. They want them all enslaved or dead. And that's pretty clear, as seen from my social media style, which I understand is totally different.
Yeah,
from
I
yours.
know. That's what they showed me. I mean, the FBI, recordings, photos of people I knew. How much they hate. And I started to, I said to myself, this is so fucked up. You know, I joined them because of love, of God, of flag, of my brothers. At least thought I did. And yeah, then I named names. There's no record of that because FBI doesn't disclose their sources, but still, I don't know how I can live with that. And I know that one day they will find me, and one day they will kill me, and I'll deserve that.
No, Doc. what you did was right. To expose hypocrisy. What you did was right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I know.
Come on. I got some whiskey in my room.
Welcome, Steven. Before I forget, let me tell you that we have copies of all three plays that you are going to present, so in case you want to take one, two, three, or all of them, feel free to grab them. And here, officially, we give you one copy of your published play in Kosovo. So you are a published author in English in Kosovo. We only could see and hear a short extract. It's the first scene from the second act.
Right.
And I suppose what we need to do is or you need to do is to tell them a bit more chronologically the story, and then more than the story. So.
The big idea is a place called Lear in Tulsa, like as in King Lear in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's set in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in a semi-professional theater company. And the company was built on the rubble of what's called Black Wall Street, which in Tulsa was a racial massacre that occurred about 100 years ago. And the theater was built on that. And there's an aging white artistic director. By the way, the racial massacre was a group of white vigilantes who destroyed the entire African American community there because of a news report that one black man had assaulted a white woman, and it just exploded, and they used that as an excuse to rip apart an entire community that was doing very, very well until then, and they just destroyed it. And so now we have this, up to present times, we have this artistic director who's 75 years old. He's retiring, and he's a white guy, and he's a pretty open-hearted fellow, and he's trying to be inclusive. And he is not of the politics that you just saw at all. And the board of directors has hired a black woman to replace him. But it's not a black American woman, it's a black English woman from, which is pretty stupid, all things considered, and the stupidity of that will eventually become apparent. But he has hired her to direct him in his swan song production of King Lear. And he himself is getting a little bit demented. He can't quite remember the lines. And the play is structured along the series of rehearsals of this play. But the actual play itself is about the community of actors who represent all sides of America trying to come together to put on this play by Shakespeare. And they really struggle because they eat each other alive in the process through their various cultural and political differences, which to me is the story of a country eating itself alive. The way that in King Lear, the family eats itself alive. That's sort of the big idea. The character you just saw was named Priscilla. Among the issues, the female character was named Priscilla. She's the politically progressive. She's from the University of Texas in Austin, and I should say their position, because she doesn't identify as female. She identifies as with the pronouns they and theirs, which becomes an issue because the local guy, which you just saw from Tulsa, just has no clue what the issue is when he calls her Miss Priscilla. And he keeps doing that, and she gets increasingly offended, and they're almost at each other's throats. And what the scene you just saw was their reconciliation of sorts, when she finally understands a little bit more of who he is and why he's so tortured. There's all kinds of the play, the rehearsals they capture the cultural wars that are currently going on in the country, and the attempt of this increasingly feeble artistic director to hold things together, and it's partly comedic, partly satiric, and partly tragic. It actually gets quite melodramatic at the end. I think that's the context.
Yes. When I first got it, and still now, the name Tulsa reads like Tuzla, and we have a city in Bosnia and Herzegovina that is Tuzla.
Yeah.
But it's not Tuzla, it's
Tulsa.
Tulsa, okay. But what if we, with some theater in Tuzla, would want to stage it? Is it possible? I mean, having in mind this specific context in which the play is set.
Well, among the reasons I come here and enjoy this festival so much is because I can't comprehend from inside what's happening to my own country. I can't fathom it. I've been there a long time, and it's becoming unrecognizable to me, as it is to many people of my generation and the place I live, which is a progressive urban city on the West Coast. I come here to understand balkanization and the divides of groups of people who have been at war for a long time, and the most tragic consequences of those divides. And I look at America, and especially like last night, the headline in the New York Times was that Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked with a hammer, by a guy with a hammer. And I'm going, okay, this looks like the Balkans. This looks like this is the beginning of what could be a very dystopian future for the United States. We have an election coming up. So can it play in the Balkans? If that message reaches, if that allegory of those divides reaches, I think very possibly it could.
I think some of the topics, of the issues you deal with in that play have not reached us.
The culture, the cultural.
Yes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they are to come. I believe they will be here very soon. But what I wanted to know is that we kept receiving 5th draft, and then 6th draft, and then 7th draft, and I stop here. 7th was the last.
Yeah.
So why is this need? Is this in relation to the production that is ongoing in?
Yeah, the play is being developed in LA by a company called Rogue Machine Theater, and they're planning to premiere it in September of 2023. So our process, which I believe you don't have such a process here, but we get a company of actors together, and they read the play at a table, and we have just a few invited guests. And we just listen to the play, and they're really good actors, and by the way, thank you to Blerta and to these actors too.
Yes.
I hear it, and then I just listen to what they have to say, and then I go away, and I think, where are they right? Meaning, where are they unearthing problems I've had with myself but haven't been able to admit to yet? And they're kind of tapping that nerve, and I'm going, okay, that needs to be addressed. And where are they just not understanding it? And so the play keeps evolving, and so that 6th and 7th and 8th draft is the evolutionary process.
I remember I asked you yesterday as well, is this, but now let's make it public. Is this a discussion that is ongoing there? I mean, I know around the theaters and in public discourse, but within the theater itself.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yes. For instance, these divides, I'm a journalist, I run a website that covers Los Angeles theater, and one of our young journalists wants to put content warnings on all the reviews, which is not the policy of the website. But it's not like content warnings like when we saw the presentation yesterday about this time, where there's an animal slaughtered on film, and you just want to know that's coming. This is like, there's stage blood, just for those who are sensitive, there's stage blood, and they want that printed, and we just don't, those of us of an older generation going, we can't quite fathom
There
why
is a,
people
there
need
is
to
a character from Kosovo in the play, so
or you know, those kinds of things. So those are the issues. The other issues rising in the play are, you know, in Shakespeare's play, Gloucester gets his eyes gouged out on stage. This character just protests and says, "Do we really need to do that? That's violence porn. Is that really necessary? Can't we do it like the Greeks did? Can't you just tell them what happened?" And the director's like saying, "Okay, can we have a narrator tell them what happens since we're no longer permitted to do this?" See, those are the kinds of issues that we have and the kind of divides that we have.
no. For me, it was fascinating because you know you hear stories here and there, especially in German theaters. But it was fascinating how the play absorbs all those discussions. So I would highly recommend all of you to, I mean, half of you to take the the play and read it. I really like it. So thank you very much. I don't think if maybe audience has a question fast, because we need to be fast.
And the other issue which hasn't been mentioned is, of course, the racial issues, which are prevalent in this rehearsal process. The resentment that this person comes in from United Kingdom, and by the end of the play, she's been swept up to play a small role on Broadway, and the resentment of the white actor left behind in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who works at the petroleum factory to make his living. So you have that politics of resentment. I think one of the things that, I don't know if it's true here because I don't live here, but there we live in a culture now where everybody feels they're right and everybody feels they've been wronged, and that's what's ripping us apart. Is that that?
Thank you, and just to let you know that it's completely fine and legitimate and okay if you move from LA to Kosovo. That's all. And thank you to actors Verona, Kushtrim, Blerta, and whoever was involved. Drin, yes. So now we go with the second. It's your turn. With where is Mr. President Agnesa Mehanolli?
Welcome back to KSVR. As previously announced, tonight we have a very special guest, an exclusive interview with the head of the state, Mr. President! Okay, we have him here tonight with his advisor. Good evening to you both. Good evening, Mr. Jack.
Good evening from Mr. Jack and me, and thank you for your invitation.
Thank you for accepting it. How are you? How is Mr. President?
Actually, never better.
So glad to hear that. Oh, I should clarify to our audience that the one who is translating Mr. President is the President Advisor. Thank you again for your services.
Gladly.
So, before we get into the questions, can you say a bit more, how is that you understand what the President is saying? No offense to the President himself, of course.
Of course. I mean, what can I say? I've been a political advisor all my career, and it's the only job I ever did. I've been spoken and translated for so many people, including our last missing president. Everyone has his own language, and of course, Jack and I, we go years back together, don't we? Sorry.
So, it's just a matter of experience, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all my bosses have had their own ways of talking, expressing their thoughts, giving orders when no one would understand. But I was there to help. I just always find the right way of communicating what my bosses wanted. And with a new president, it's the same. Sorry, do you have any cats around?
No, we don't.
Because that
I
would bother.
think we don't.
Because that would bother, Mr. President.
I'm so sorry for any trouble.
It's okay. There is no cat. Here we go. Here we go. Good president. Good president. Yeah, as I was saying, Mr. Jack. For example, when Mr. Jack wants something, a bark is enough. But when he objects to something, he would not stop barking like you know? But, for example, a few days ago we were talking something to do some constitutional changes, like electing the president by the people's choice. He would not stop barking, and we were like, why? We asked him, why is that? Where the problem was. And he was starting barking and making gestures. And imagine, he even took a pen and started drawing cycles with his mouth.
Wow!
Yeah!
Wow!
I mean, in the beginning it didn't make much sense, but we gotta accept it with this new president. But in the end, we were able to see that inside the circles, there were humans and dogs drawn together.
Wow! So he was talking about interracial union.
Interspecies, yes. We eventually worked out that he was trying to say is that the president should be elected by people's and dogs' choices too. They should decide together. And that was a really good idea because everyone approved it, and that showed that as a dog, he had potential. I mean, we were not doubting on that, Mr. Jack, don't we?
Well, that's interesting. Wow!
And of course, due to our bond together, everyone agreed that I should be the one translating for Mr. President. Thank you.
So, sounds good. So, is he ready for some questions?
Is there something wrong? I'm sure you own cats at home, right?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
But the studio doesn't.
We can continue.
Okay. So, the first question. What is the first thing that you're going to do as a president?
Security? Oh, what Mr. Jack is talking about is security, yes? He wants to make sure that everyone inside our country borders is safe. The kindergartens will be safe. The schools, universities, workplaces will be safer than ever. Anywhere frequented by citizens, right?
And is he indicating something with that?
I think he's just making clear that his first action will be focusing on everyone's safety. No one will be left out.
Seems like a really good plan, but still, does this mean that he's personally taking over the case of a lost president?
I mean, of course, how can he be trustworthy to the people if he isn't showing loyalty to his previous owner? I mean, friend.
Okay, so my second question is, will human-dog relations change?
This topic can be very complicated, but he won't make any major changes straight away. I mean, he's promising that nothing will change in respect of friendship and equality. Domesticated dogs harm no one, but on time he would like his species to have right to own businesses, to be paid for their services, to be educated, to be taken care of their later years. But of course, in the short term, everything will be the same, yes.
And will he be recruiting more dogs? Oh!
I suppose you understood that, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And what about people who think that you don't deserve to be in this position? Or that this is a slippery slope towards dog conquering us all?
Sir, he considers himself to be the president of all, reliable, committed, in this for a long haul. How could a dog like that have ulterior motives, huh? More dog involvement in the government level will be for the greater good of all dogs and humans. I mean, no one will be left behind.
Of course. But what about our relations with other countries?
Oh, we are already in touch with everyone and they are so excited to meet us.
Because what is the strategy if there are objections or issues too complex
No,
for a dog to solve?
no. We are pioneering something here. We don't anticipate any problems. And I assure all of you that we just have entered a new era. May I say, utopia, boy.
Okay, well, we are nearly out of time. Is there any exclusive news that he would like to share with us now?
Well, we were saving it as a surprise. I mean, but...
Woohoo!
Mr. President just said right now, in this moment as we are speaking, there are homes being built for the stray dogs. Hundreds of them.
Whoa, that's an amazing news!
And the first ones will be ready in just a couple of days, with more to follow. All creature comforts, no expenses spared. Mr. Jack has a very capable K9 subcommittee taking care of it.
Dogs building houses?
They can take care of themselves just as we can. And do you know what's the best of it? They accept payment in the dog shoes. Yeah, so everyone is happy.
Perfect arrangement.
You can take my word for that. You know, I've known Mr. Jack my whole life. I understand him. He wants nothing less than the best for his country and his dogs.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It was indeed a pleasure to conduct your inaugural interview. We wish you all the best. Thank you to Mr. President's advisor.
It was a pleasure.
Well, that's it for tonight. A new direction for the country and some inspiring words of the wisdom. We will be following developments with interest, so do tune back into KSVR.
Welcome. Can you just explain us from which part in the play? Is it middle of the play, or is it the end, or where did you take from the sixth act?
It's the middle. It's the middle after things have changed and now people are adapting to the changes.
Ah, okay. So it's he was converted to a dog, or she actually, or he.
You're talking about the president.
Yes,
He wasn't necessarily converted. He was elected.
he was elected.
He was elected consciously by the higher officials of the state, and yeah, it's the best solution for the moment.
There are no references to Kosovo presidents. I mean, we have two women presidents, so it's he.
I mean, when I wrote this, it was back on 2018, 4 years ago, so you can understand who I was thinking about when I wrote it. Yeah.
There was a short period in which we didn't have a president. So.
Um,
But let's hear the whole story of the play. What happens, so the audience has an impression of the.
Okay, so if I'm to explain my story, I have to first mention Orson Welles' story, written 100 years ago, War of the Worlds. It was a story that was transmitted to radio, and it was so well done, so well artistically done, that people, when they heard it on the radio, they thought that real aliens were coming into LA, because this was the news. Hey, all aliens are taking over, and they're, I don't know, have bad plans with us, and everyone somehow were scared, and everyone reacted, and everyone took it very seriously, and it had a massive effect. Also, this was a great prank from Orson Welles, because he transmitted this piece on Halloween at the end of the October. So what I was thinking when I wrote the play was, what if so the play now is about Independence Day. So people have gone out to celebrate, and I don't know, have fun, and suddenly the president that has to say a speech is missing. He disappears, and people are finding it hard to find where has he gone, and there are no reason, no print where he went toward, or he just disappeared, and people are scared, and they don't know what to do with the country, who can lead us now, and whatever. So the best solution comes up to be the dog, because everyone is scared to take the position. What if whatever happened to the president is going to happen to us also? And then the dog takes over, and a utopia is created under his government. That is not to say, when I wrote this, I was a bit sensitive toward the whole political situation. Now I don't tend to be that much. It's not healthy.
When did you write this play?
It was like 4 years ago. Yeah, I was studying. No, it was 2020, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, sorry, I'm a bit bad with memory. 2 years ago we finished it, and the point was, what if we do this on the radio again on the 17th of February, and what if we somehow prank the people that the president is missing, and they get to feel some temporary joy. But things changed, and we weren't able to transmit it on the radio on time. But what I wanted to tell with all this was not that the dog can be better than human at governing, at maintaining our stuff and everything, but it can be worse than a human. At least we can expect worse things than a human being.
Was it because the first production of it was for a radio drama, as a radio drama?
Yeah,
was it written from the beginning as a radio drama, or not necessarily?
Yeah, it was written in this form. I was part of a workshop with a theater company called Indian News Theater that I now work for, and it was written directly for radio. So all the text and it was supposed to be helped only by sounds to be created artistically.
So that's the main difference. Basically, you spare the paper from description that you usually use in the play, and you just voices and sound. I'm curious because I've never written any.
How do you mean you spare the papers?
In the sense that you don't have description of stages, actions, actors is moving there or not.
Actually, you have to have that.
You have to have
that. The only problem with written radio drama is that the whole story is supposed to be told only by dialogue and sounds. So you have to, for example, if I am to explain that you gain weight and this is going to be important for the story, you're weighing too much, or sorry for that banal example, we have to add that to the dialogue and say, hey, you've gained 20 pounds, 30, whatever. You can't show that only through camera or through visual.
The actor.
So that was the challenge about writing the audio drama, but no, it's basically the same. You just have to add more sounds, sorry. You just have to add more sounds.
Sounds that you would not have normally.
Because the sounds are keeping it all together. Basically, they are what are igniting your imagination.
So how many characters you have?
I think there were 16 or more, because
16.
yeah, we were played by 4 actors. It's done in a podcast. I mean, it's a podcast by Miran Hajj Production. And on that podcast, there is Where is Mr. President, done in English language, in collaboration with some Albanian English actors in London.
But it was not produced here yet.
Yeah, it was produced here also. It was translated. We're just talking about transmitting it also on a local radio in Albanian.
But in radio, not in theater.
No, just in radio.
And you don't have ambition to do that, or you don't have offers for now?
I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I would consider it to be finalized. I mean, I really liked what the team did here. I really enjoyed it, but I think it was supposed to be more as an audio play. If I am to have a potential collaboration, I would more focus on other projects that I'm trying to. So yeah.
Okay, so what is the project you would want to offer to Kushtrim from National Theatre?
I'm already doing one with Kushtrim, to be honest. There was a project that I meant to propose to Blerta, but that was supposed to be after that.
Secret or what?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you, Agnesa. And
Enjoy.
I think we need 2 more minutes. 3 more minutes to move to the next one. Thank you. The scripts are here. Where is Mr. President? So feel free to take it. I think we have enough copies for everyone. Sound guys, excerpts. I do my solo show. Okay, so you start.
Smell of onions. Little Gans digs a spoon into the grass to see what he can find. He's collecting things to put it into a glass jar to keep. I lay my hand in his head. His hair is still soft and warm. Oh, there come the girls all laughing and giggling. Saranda does a double cartwheel and just misses stamping into the wall. Matos laughs at her. She goes to whack him, but just grabs his shoulder before he spins away. My name is... I'm in the garden. The air smell of onions. My hands smell of onions. Little Gans is digging a spoon into the grass to see what he can find. He's collecting things to put it into a glass jar to keep. There come the girls, all laughing and giggling. Saranda does a double cartwheel and just misses stamping into the wall. Matos laughs at her. She goes to whack him, but just grabs his shoulder before he spins away. Emre most.
still.
Don't move. Not even a breath.
Open one eye. See something. See someone.
My name is...
My name is... My name is... My name is...
War isn't over when the history book says it is, or when politicians sign on the dotted line.
It's a heavy coat that you wear for the rest of your life. Itchy and sticky, like the wet tooth.
It's the slump of your shoulders as you walk to work on yet another anniversary.
War is written into the way you check on your baby as she sleeps at night.
Or scribbled into knot in your stomach that tightens as you watch the news, worrying what it might mean for you, worrying what it might mean for your children.
The cost of war is counted in how much hope is placed in a sack of potatoes.
Or whether you will find a space in a passing truck to take you out of town.
It is the cry of a newborn baby tucked into his mother's coat as she continues her journey along the road.
Up a track, into the forest, carrying what she can.
It is the gap left behind.
An old man, ghost hugging the air.
A table set for no one.
It is a shadow garden.
The soldiers from Serbia comes to Kosovo! Straight into the municipality of Podujeva, into the streets and past our windows where we press our noses to the glass so we can see their faces. Then we dug down, out of sight. There are tanks on our streets. Convoys of tanks move through our town. They move from village to village. The news is they are targeting the villages. This is when I discovered target means.
Setting fire to houses.
Setting fire to the house.
Scaring people out of their homes. Old man dragging heavy leather suitcases across fields.
Rosje, kasapane, genocid, spastrim etnik.
Let's first thank all the actors and of course director Nastasia. Your name I can spell it very well. I know I should not say Natasha, so it's Nastasia, but surname Domaracka.
Yes.
Okay. So Polish UK director that worked on this piece by Sarah Hehir, and the actors were Aurita Gusha and Ulina / Lena Poeziu, Bokshi, Donika Meti, Gentrit Shala, with the music by Tom Mercucci. And Ermal. Where is Ermal? Why I forgot him? He's not there. Okay. If it's not here, then he doesn't exist. Thank you, Sarah. Before we even move to the play itself, I just wanted to know why. I mean, how came that you decided to write a play? I know you came here a couple of times, but what was your initial motivation?
I mean, what you saw on stage wasn't linear in terms of the play. It was what we kind of were interested as actors, director, writer, and Timur, the composer, in exploring during some workshops. So actually the play spans many times, from kind of 1999 as the central time, but it comes up to contemporary times and also back and into the world of the Shadow Garden, the time that might have existed if the massacre hadn't taken place. I taught in Manchester in '99. I was a teacher in secondary school, so I taught Kosovan refugees coming over in '99. Later, I heard of Saranda long before I ever met her, and her family, the Bogietsi family. Manchester was largely positive in terms of how it welcomed the refugees from Kosovo. There's an organisation called Manchester Aid to Kosovo, who then worked with the Bogiepsi family and built a peace park. So I knew of the family, and then and I was interested in the story, and then I met Saranda here 5 years ago maybe. My husband does work in Kosovo, he's an academic, and I was interested in that idea. I suppose what we were talking about earlier in the week about crossing borders and you know, stories that are told in two or more different places, and I approached the Bogiepsi family, and they were happy for me to kind of explore the story of in Kosovo and Manchester.
For those who don't know the story of Bogiepsi, maybe it's a moment.
Yeah.
And also, how much from that, actual story you took, and what is fiction, what are the testimonies, or
yes.
is there any line that...
So in 1999 there was a massacre in Podjevu where the family, Serbian soldiers came across the border and were driving people mostly out of the town, but the members of the Bogiepsi family and the Derici family were shot in the garden, in a compound behind the houses. And what was the second question? Sorry.
No,
so that's the context, and how much of that goes. Yeah, so I was very keen to research and spent a couple of years actually researching, and actually we started off pre-pandemic in 2019 with some funding to do some workshops over here and in Manchester, near where I live, with actors from Manchester and Kosovo, and dancers actually at that time. I was looking at dance. And then the pandemic obviously kind of put a stop to the I was always keen for it to be kind of active, collaborative workshops, so how I developed the play. So I spoke to the family, did research through this fabulous resource that is Voices of Kosovo from Manchester, and just watched as much as I could, learned as much as I could, carried on talking to the family, and then wrote it during the pandemic, which was never really my intention, to just sit down and write it. But, we didn't know how long that was going to last, when we could get together in rooms again. So I wrote a script that always had space for collaboration and for other artists to be involved, and certainly for exploration with actors and a team from Kosovo.
And did you share the script and with Saranda or with anyone else?
Yeah.
Did you have the need to have their confirmation?
Yeah, I did. I never wanted to just tell a story that was my story. From the beginning it was a collaboration with the family, and I've only ever been happy when they're happy. Which I know if things are in the public domain, as a writer you can write things, but they've been very generous in terms of saying, use what we have given you. But I've always checked. But Anastasia got involved during the pandemic too, because she was looking for work on Twitter actually, and we made a connection that I'm so delighted that we did.
Through Kosovo, yes or no?
Through Kosovo.
Kosovo Showcase, no?
Yeah, and then the Kosovo Showcase, and which is a great advert. Yeah, and so finally, pandemic over, we were able, with the support from the municipality of Pristina and the Bogiepsi Family Foundation, to come over here, and we had 4 or 5 days workshopping with the actors that were on stage, and that's where we really started to dig into it. But the piece is quite abstract. It moves between kind of an abstract idea of grief not being linear and stories not totally disappearing and family memory, and it feels very important that it's a family story of war, rather than maybe the dominant narratives of war.
Okay, and then we come to the question of staging it. I remember when we discussed, you said that theatres in the UK won't stage this because they search for some sort of authenticity and legitimacy that I believe you don't have as a writer to tell the story of.
I think we will get it staged in the UK, and they're actually, but they're more interested now because of the work that we're doing here and the fact that we're staging it here.
Okay.
But I think even from when I started in the UK, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, talking about this project, certainly that idea of whose story is it and who gets to tell those stories has become more pertinent, I suppose, and to me too. And it's a question I ask, and then again, the generosity of Saranda and the family, you're telling it. But also, it is a story that crosses, it's a story that has a foot in Manchester too.
Are you suggesting that, because I know all other theaters in Berlin and in Paris and wherever. They look for plays that are staged first in London, then they take it. Is Kosovo becoming a reference point in London?
Yeah, Kosovo's become the new London. That's definitely. Yeah. But we really hope to take it to Manchester, definitely, and then we're happy to tour it throughout the world after Kosovo and Manchester.
Okay, so last question from my side. How many drafts of the play you went through?
Loads and loads, but probably officially maybe 3 or 4. I mean, at the moment it's a play that's about 50 or 60 pages. Again, and it started being 2 or 3. There was loads, because I just shove in all the research and then pare it down. And that was where Anastasia came in as well, with the idea of looking at, as a dramaturg, looking at where the story sat. But it's probably, the reason it's shorter as text is as a writer, I'm as interested in what is told through other mediums, really, as much as the text. So the idea of a 4-week rehearsal period is very exciting. Just how we explored it during the workshops, the idea of being able to have kind of 4 times that much time to really find the music, the physicality of it, and yeah, the kind of where the abstract and where the concrete meet.
I think because, for most of the people don't know here that Anastasia came from London today, this morning actually, to make this happen. This shorter version that was 30 minutes 3 weeks ago, and she's here, so I think we need to have you here say hello to the guests and so they know.
No, don't put me on the spot at all. Hello.
But thank you for flying in this morning on a delayed plane that she raced across, even with the traffic, which isn't as bad as yesterday.
Yeah.
But, and also thank you to Saranda and Fatas for being here today.
So Saranda and Fatas are here. Thank you.
Fatas flew in last night. He lives in Manchester. So.
Okay.
So that's, yeah.
Manchester invasion.
The Manchester invasion.
British. Thank you, and see you at 8 Oda Theatre for the last play, and then we can finally get drunk.
Yeah, but